Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. Since this year is the 70th year of the Histalkus of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and we're going into the 70th year of the Nesias, the leadership of our Rebbe, but Bemis, officially, the Rebbe became a Rebbe, a Nossi, a year later. But the truth of the matter is, the Chassidim, the Nuda the Rebbe became a Rebbe right away. Bo HaShemesh, V'zorach HaShemesh. There was a Histalkus, Bo HaShemesh, but right away, the Zorach HaShemesh, the sun, started to shine. In Mirza Hashem, next week, in our weekly Thursday night program, we will explain why the Rebbe took the Nesias a year later. Why did he hesitate? He hesitated a whole year until he took the Nesias. But the Mabes is the Rebbe is a Nossi 70 years. So today I want to mention a few interesting events about the Frierdiker Rebbe. Around the year 1950, 1949, which I found in Rabbi Mindel's archives. And some people probably know, some people probably don't know, but even if they do know, it won't hurt to listen again. So I found there that he explains that all the letters that the Frierdiker Rebbe signed all these years is the same, more or less, a signature. He signed his name, Yosef Yitzchok Schneerson. This is how he always signed, the regular way that he always signed. For example, I have over here samples of the Frierdiker Rebbe's, this is original, the Frierdiker Rebbe's signature. Here, Yosef Yitzchok, he signed this way. Sometimes he signed a little bit bigger, Yosef Yitzchok. Sometimes a little bigger, and all these he signed over here. These are the shlichas that the Frierdiker Rebbe sent Rabbi Mindel. Also, this is about the memoirs that the Frierdiker Rebbe asked him, and he signed all these letters. So all these are samples that the way the Frierdiker Rebbe signed. The last year, before his Histalkus, the Frierdiker Rebbe signed his name a little different. And this is very interesting. He put a lot of ink in the Yud of Yitzchok. Yosef Yitzchok. Some he put even on the Yud, which I have over here. But mostly he put on the Yitzchok. He emphasized the Yud. This was the entire year. Every letter that was signed Tovshin Tes until the Histalkus is with a Yud, with that kind of with a lot of ink. Now I would say maybe here is all these letters. I don't know if we can see these letters. The Yud is a lot of ink. He emphasized the Yud. Every single letter. I found more letters like that every letter he signed with emphasize the Yud. Now I would say it's because maybe it's a hint, since his name is Yosef Yud, Yitzchok is a Yud, and he was nostalgic and Yud Shvat, so maybe it's a hint that before the Histalkus. And it says also, Ho'asiri Yi Yakodesh, the 10th is holy. So maybe this is the reason, I don't know. But these are the letters that I found that he emphasized the Yud. I also have a letter over here that the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, Parshas Boy, 7:45 in the morning. This is Yud Shvat. 2 days before Cheshvat, he signed a letter, and this is the letter that he signed Cheshvat, 2 days before. I think this probably is the last letter, or maybe there is another letter. I think Rabbi Dubov, he got married then. I think it was the last letter that the Rebbe signed, but I'm not sure. But this is also you can see the Yud. The Yud is also with a lot of ink. This is the way the Frierdiker Rebbe signed the last year from Yud Shvat Tovshin Tes until Yud Shvat Tovshin Yud. Another thing, interesting thing, which I want to share with you, the citizen papers, the citizen ceremony. I know that Jem showed a video of the Frierdiker Rebbe's, the ceremony of the citizen, and that's written, I have over here from the newspaper, the Dispatcher. This was Tuesday, March 22nd, 1949, the way the citizen ceremony televised, and they came to the Frierdiker Rebbe. There was the judge Leo Rayfield, and there was a judge Philip Kleinfeld. It was written up, the whole thing, and it was already, the video was shown already, but the video is superficial. You can, it's a beautiful video, you can see, but what's behind the citizenship? This was a very, very ruchnis diker inyan. The Frierdiker Rebbe wrote to Rabbi Nissen Mindel, and here is the Petal. All these pages, this is like, it's not a regular page, this is like a little bit harder pages. This is the Frierdiker Rebbe's Ksav. He wrote it, all these pages, and he wrote to Rabbi Mindel, all these pages. This was in Tevis, Gimel Tevis, I think, Tovshin Tes, 7 months before the Istalkus. What did he write here? Certain things he wrote that we cannot say, but I will tell you it's things that it does say over here. I don't think if anybody knows it, because this was given to Rabbi Mindel. He says, the Frierdiker Rebbe writes to him like this: I want that only these few people to be at the ceremony of the U.S. citizen. And he said, the Ramash, the Rebbe, he was called the Ramash, Rabbi Kazanovsky, Rabbi Chadakov, and Rabbi Mindel. That's all I want to be. Nobody else is allowed to be inside. And of course the judge. Maybe there were other people outside, but inside nobody didn't want more. Now, he writes over here, names that should definitely not be there at the ceremony. And the Frierdiker Rebbe writes who he didn't want. And he writes over here, this is in Yiddish, he writes here that if you already made an appointment for the citizen, your citizen, for the ceremony, and you invited those other people that the ones that the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't want, you have to change the date and make another date. That's how far it is. This is a ruchnis diker inyan. This is that the Frierdiker Rebbe made a whole thing. He wrote more what should be. This is something very special. It's a ruchnis diker, the whole U.S. citizen. And why? He came to America in 1940, and he was waiting until 7 months before the Istalkus to become citizen. There is a reason for that also. So this is the Petal that I over here about this U.S. citizen. Now I want to share with you something else here. The Frierdiker Rebbe always had a suitcase with him wherever he traveled, except when he traveled in Eretz Yisrael in the 20s. Then the suitcase was at home. The suitcase was with manuscripts. He always held the manuscripts with him. And I mentioned already a few months ago in my program, maybe I'll mention it again, that when the Frierdiker Rebbe was in Riga, and he took a plane, there's a plane that went from Riga to Sweden, and he took with him 11 people on that plane, a very small plane. The plane had probably 17, 18 seats, and he had 11 people with him. It was the Frierdiker Rebbe and Rebbetzin Nechamedina. It was Rashag, Chadakov, his mother Shtanesore, Manya, Chaim Lieberman, Rabbi Mindel, Berke was there, 11. And the Frierdiker Rebbe held this suitcase with the manuscripts on his lap. He didn't leave go from those manuscripts. And he said, we cannot leave until we fill up the plane. The plane had another 7 or 6 seats empty. This was the last plane before the war. He didn't want to leave anybody behind. I mean, if there's room. No other plane came out after that. And he took the plane. They had to fill up the plane, and they went to Sweden, and then they took a boat to America. The manuscripts was always with him. Now, I saw in the archives, and I heard once from Rabbi Yosef Weinberg of Sholom, that he said that in Warsaw, the Frierdiker Rebbe went somewhere. He was holding the suitcase on one hand, and the talis and film in the other hand. And it was, I guess, too hard for him. So he asked somebody, can you please hold my talis and film? So he gave the talis and film to somebody to hold. But the manuscripts, he was holding himself in his hand. It so happened, I heard from Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, that the talis and film got lost somewhere. I don't know whether it was found later or not, but it was lost. But that he was holding in his hand. The years later, the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushke, this was after the Stalkus, called over Reb Chaim Lieberman, and he asked Reb Chaim Lieberman that the Rebbe is worried. The Rebbe wants to know, where is the Baal Shem Tov sitter? And he should try to see what he can do. Took him a while, and he found the Baal Shem Tov's sitter in his in that suitcase that was in the apartment upstairs. He found that sitter, and he told this to Rebbe Tzachai Mushke. She told us to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was very relieved. Now, when the Frierdiker Rebbe went to Chicago in Tovshin Beis, he also carried that suitcase. Now, Tovshin Beis, he went to Chicago. He asked Rabbi Mindel to come with him. Rashag went with him. Other people went with him. So some things, there's a Bikur Chicago. Some things are written in Bikur Chicago. Some things are not even written there, which is in Rabbi Mindel's archives. But because Rabbi Mindel went with him, Rabbi Mindel got a telegram that Rebbetzin Shtanesore passed away. So he had to tell the Frierdiker Rebbe that news when he was in Chicago. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, so they went back. I think he took a train. They went back to, and there they were. Well, he was holding the manuscripts with him. Now here is a picture of the Rebbetzin Shtanesore. Rebbetzin Rivke, the Rebbe Marash Rebbetzin, passed away Yud Shvat, and Rebbetzin Shtanesore passed away Yud Gimel Shvat. And this is the Rebbetzin Shtanesore. Manya gave me this picture. Now Manya is the nurse of she was the nurse of the Frierdiker Rebbe in 1939 in Riga. She was not married then. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe asked her to come with him to America. So she came to America with him to be the nurse of Rebbetzin Shtanesore, of his mother. And when she became the nurse of his mother, she took care. She was like a house person. In other words, she lived upstairs. Any time that the Frierdiker Rebbe bought presents for his daughters, for Rebbetzin, Chayemushke, and Chane, the Rebbe also bought a present for Manya. Manya was like part of the family, and we once spoke that Manya, she was the one who a week before Yud Shvat, the Frierdiker Rebbe told her that I have a coat and I don't need the coat anymore, and I want to give you a present. So the coat, I think we showed it once on this program, the coat that she gave me as a present, and then I had to give it to the Rebbe because I didn't want to hold it. The whole thing, we already spoke about it. So this is Manya. Now that coat that she gave, I think the coat that the Frierdiker Rebbe is wearing here, I think that's the coat that she gave me. Now I want to read over here that it was written up when by the Frierdiker Rebbe. I don't know when this was written. It was written about the Frierdiker Rebbe. Maybe it was right after the Stalkers. It says here that the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak activities and leadership spanned the first 50 years of the 20th century, first in Europe, Soviet Union, and Poland, and then for the last 10 years in the USA. During his early years, he served Jewish causes under the direction of his father, the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Chabad Rebbe. He headed the newly founded Yeshiva Toim Chetmim Lubavitch while yet in his teens, and was sent on numerous missions for Jewish causes by and on behalf of his father, often at great personal risk. When he took over leadership of Chabad, his activities on behalf of Jews and Judaism, in addition to the dissemination of Hasidus, took on added momentum and urgency in order to counteract the ever-growing brutal hand of the communists. All this he did with tremendous self-sacrifice, which is in turn inspired countless Jews during these very trying times and infused them with strength and devotion to Torah mitzvahs. Jews and Judaism survived under the communist rule in great measure due to the Frierdiker Rebbe's unwavering and uncompromising effort. When his arrival to the shores of America at the beginning of World War II, the Frierdiker Rebbe, with his holy vision, laid the foundation of Chabad activities in this land of the free, activities that would soon spread with the unprecedented and blessed results on the north, south, east, and west, and would permeate the world with the knowledge of God through the light of Chassidus. And this was written, I guess, right after, which I found in the archives. Here is a telegram that this is the original telegram that the Rebbe, this is after this Talkus, what to do on Yud Shvat, the first Yud Shvat. So first he gave it to my father-in-law, the original paper. He wrote on this paper, and then he wrote, made a telegram, and then the Rebbe wrote on the telegram about the Yom Yeluleh, that it's a schus, that tzaddik, who fed the world to Mamshich Yeshua's brachas and atzlochas, and the Rebbe gave brachas, and the Rebbe signed Mem Shin Menachem Shneir. So that was then. These are the few things that I saw in Rabbi Mindel's archives. I mean, to speak about the Frierdiker Rebbe, there's many things, but since there is no time, for that. So at least we have something before the 70th year of Yud Shvat. And I just want to give a bracha, Kitzu v'rananu, Sheichni Ofer, and Vu B'Seicham, and we should be Zeicher to the Geula Shleima, B'Kar of Mabish. A Mitzvah Hashem next week, we will continue about the inauguration of our Rebbe.